Who's going to jail? Is it you? Not likely. Somebody is, though. Criminal investigations are beginning in the SEC behind closed doors, and you need to understand what's happening here. We are covering the SEC closed meeting that happened yesterday at 2:30 Eastern PM, and we are now trying to read through all of the mumbo jumbo so that you guys don't have to fully understand who is likely going to be at the butt end of a criminal investigation on this GME fiasco. If you guys have not had the pleasure of meeting me quite yet, my name is Andrew. I'm a data scientist here in Silicon Valley. This is Professor Meatball, and we are off to the races with the 75,000 subscriber goal, which I'm hoping you guys will help us reach, as well as the like goal. Yeah, the like goal is just get that like counter pushed as much as you guys can so that more people get to enjoy this video. Oh, and Eric Andres is already pledging something brand new. He says he'll buy 20 shares of AMC if we get the likes up to 5K. And you know Eric keeps his word. So thank you, Eric, for that pledge. And now let's begin. So we have the SEC closed meeting today by user Conscious C5937. Well, I decided to see what I can find out about this closed meeting. Its notes are posted here, and its third paragraph under matters to be considered. Here is the big bolded part of this paragraph. The general counsel of the commission or his designee has certified that, in his opinion, one or more of the exemptions set forth in 5 USC blah 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 permit consideration of the scheduled matters at the closed meeting. So now that we have what we should be Googling here, this Sherlock ape here went and Googled and found this. Under C, we have disclosed matters specifically exempted from disclosure of statute, provided that such statute A requires that the matters be withheld from the public in such a manner as to leave no discretion on the issue, or B establishes particular criteria for withholding or refers to particular types of matters to be withheld. Now, this is a legalese that we're going to have to struggle through, but watch to the end to understand exactly what this means for the criminal investigations for GME and AMC. Let's bold this part. Involve in accusing any person of a crime or formally censuring any person, right? Number 7 is disclosed investigatory records compiled for law enforcement purposes or information which, if written, would be contained in such records, but only to the extent that the production of such records or information would A, interfere with enforcement proceedings, or B, deprive a person of a right to a fair trial or impartial adjudication. D, disclose the identity of a confidential source and in the case of record compiled by a criminal law enforcement authority in course of a criminal investigation or by an agency conducting a lawful national security intelligence investigation, confidential information furnished only by the confidential source, disclose investigative techniques and procedures, yada yada yada. So we are looking at these documents being referred to of a criminal investigation here. Let me scroll back a little bit more so you guys can see. Okay, let me scroll through a little bit more here. Be likely to significantly frustrate implementation of a proposed agency plan. So now they're referring to 17 CFR 200-402, specifically concerned the agency's issuance of a subpoena or the agency's participation in a civil action or proceeding, an action in a foreign court or international tribunal, or an arbitration, or the initiation, conduct, or disposition by the agency of a particular case of formal agency adjudication. So let us look through just a little bit more legalese to find out exactly what this is now referring to. Involve accusing any person of a crime or formally censuring any person, right? This is very similar to the last one. Alleging a violation of any provision of the federal securities law, now we're getting somewhere, or the rules of regulations thereunder, right? Commence, participates, or terminate judicial proceedings alleging a violation of any provision of the federal securities law, right? Issue a report or statement discussing the conduct of any person and the relationship of that conduct to possible violations of any provision of the federal securities law. We get the point. This is talking about not just a slap on the wrist anymore. This is a opening of documents to talk about violating federal securities laws. We also have Foreign Securities Authority, or by profession association, or by securities industry self-regulation organization, and then disclose information contained or related to any examination, operating, or condition report prepared by, on behalf of, use the commission, any other federal, state, local, or foreign governmental authority or foreign securities authority, right? So this is the SEC. So the SEC refers to itself, and most importantly, it is talking about what it does not like and how it is going to now finally have the tools to investigate criminally these people that likely are going to be behind bars before we know it. Too long didn't read. A player in the game is about to get pinched. And remember, combine this with the DTCC new regulations of trying to get everything set up. This is going to be a doozy. They're out of the depths, but it feels pertinent to Marble 8 Brain. They don't feel right tagging our most wrinkled of 8 Brains here until more of y'all check it out. Make sure I'm not wasting people's times. I don't think so. And not only is the SEC trying to make it clear that they are now going to swing the ban hammer, and that ban hammer is the jail hammer, but we also are looking at the NSCC protecting itself. Let's see how long this is. This is actually pretty short, but let's go straight to the too long didn't read of what the recovery and wind down procedure is in the DTCC. Essentially, the NSCC is tightening its rules and wording to afford absolutely no confusion that should a broker or member cause a fat loss, it will incentivize the sharks to eat the other sharks to survive. Essentially, this is the if one of you screws up, all of you might be margin called to pay. We talked about that margin call squeeze, the mixed squeeze earlier. So right now, they are worried that that mixed squeeze is going to come for them. But the DTCC is going to straight up say, hey, right now, even those of you who aren't shorting the stock, you might actually end up paying for your fellow hedge funds' mistakes. So if you don't help me eat these other sharks to survive, you are going to be in trouble too. And if not, we'll absolutely scalp every member for what they're worth, especially if they're involved as a final forget you before winding down. So this is the recovery and wind down procedure, DD. Let's make it clear here. This is not a new procedure implemented recently in DTCC predicting GME will the market. The timing of the filing though, right? Every 2 years, the DTCC and Co. must update this procedure and it's about due, but the filing specifically stated it will take into account current market conditions. So onto the DD here. Right, current market conditions, GME, AMC. First thing that they notice, the DTCC seeks to expand critical service providers to as wide of a catchment area as possible. Next thing I noticed, the DTCC wants to change the name from the R&R steering group, who will deal with the wind down should something happen to the fan, to the Recovery and Wind Down Planning Council. This has no effect other than clarifying their role as an advisory body. What's really important to note is the DTCC's plan is to survive first. It's not that the DTCC is so much on our side like the SEC should be. SEC is a governing body that is supposed to go find the bad guys, and right now the bad guys are the hedge funds, and so they're technically on our side if they go through with this criminal investigation. DTCC isn't. They're just aligned with us right now, and we are talking about how exactly they plan to survive first, right? There's a mention that they seek to include cash proceeds from the debt issuance in the R&W procedure, and an interesting point here is that a procedure is being enhanced to support the bulk transfer initiative, which is an industry effort designed to prepare carrying brokers, dealers for an emergency mass transfer of a large quantity of customer accounts and assets from a distressed broker to a financially secure broker. And distressed is Melvin in a nutshell. Does this anyone give you guys a flashback of being a boy in Bulgaria? Also, the crisis continuum, right? Mainly it's to ensure that members can pay their clearing fund requirements, and it removes the implied volatility, the IV, from the calculation, as it acknowledges members will be tracked daily and in a more simple manner, i.e. your risk, our capital, whatever is left over, you pay. And this is the daily homework swear jar that they have to put their funds into. Essentially, you're risky, put your money where your mouth is. Give us money on a daily basis so that you don't keep messing up everything else for everyone else. This is just a simple system getting put in place. Right now, they're saying, here is how you've been doing bad things, and here is how, 1, on the daily, we're going to keep our eye on you, and 2, on the daily, any day that you mess up, we are going to margin call you and maybe force all your friends to pay. That is the 801 rule, and the NSCC is getting ready to implement it. Let's see, first the rule will charge the clearing fund as a defaulting member first, and then they won't take all of the members' contribution of $10,000 to the clearing fund, but instead charge all members on a pro rata basis. What this boils down to is the more involved you are in the event that, the short squeeze, the more we will make you pay. But this account will be for at least 50% of the NSCC's overall risk for the 12 months. So that's some serious money. Boiled down thereafter, the NSCC seeks to clarify and tighten their wording so as to prevent any possibility of tricky lawyer wording antics, which can produce ambiguity in the rules and prevent any member from trying to squeeze out of the rules on a technicality. Remember that technicality that the original DTCC forced members to report on a monthly and a daily basis, and they just decided to ignore that daily basis because there was contradictory rules. So right now we know that these hedge funds have good lawyers. The NSCC is making sure that there is no lawyer loopholes to be able to take advantage of. This rule takes effect immediately upon filing, therefore is active as of the 23rd of March 2021. The DTCC can do this by an exemption in the law, which essentially states that it doesn't really change what is legally required to do. They can just do it. So it is in fact, as of now, as with their daily position requirement filing, unless the SEC suspends it for the 60 to 120 days for further information unlikely. So that's about it, apes. Put simply, I think it's bullish AF on the basis that the general sentiment of the document, at least to me, is to provide absolutely no ability for either a defaulting member, someone who is going bankrupt because of the short squeeze, or other members to pay whatever they can to help the DTCC survive a critical event, which in my view is GME. So what exactly does this mean for you? Well, the catalysts are coming. We covered this in the Mother of All Catalysts video that you guys can also check out. I'll link that in the description down below. And one of the other things I want you to remember is that this is a community called the Moon Platoon. If you haven't joined it quite yet, we're on our way to 80,000 subscribers. So I really appreciate it if you guys can jump on board. We have these people to thank that have gone above and beyond by pressing that join button next to the subscribe button as well, or going down and checking out the Patreon link down below. If you guys haven't gotten your 2 free stocks on Webull, it's a really good time to do it. It's the technical app that I was using to track GME a second ago, and it gets you 2 free stocks, of which can be AMC. Pretty cool. And finally, if you guys haven't gotten your $250 of free Bitcoin, I put $5,000 into the BlockFi account every day that I can. Just gets me 8.6% interest, and I don't think normal saving accounts can do that for you. So check out that BlockFi link down below, and I will see you in the money.